Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki requested from Minister of Health Mahmoud Shiab to continue granting medical exemptions to cancer patients referred by the Health Ministry or the Civil Health Insurance, whether insured or non-insured, to the King Hussein Cancer Center and the King Hussein Medical Center for treatment. In a letter to Shiab, Mulki urged that cancer patients continue receiving exemptions until the treatment is completed, stressing that new cancer patients will be dealt with through the Health Ministry for insured persons, while non-insured patients will be checked by the Royal Court's Patients Affairs Unit. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called for an international peace conference to be convened by mid this year that would result in the recognition of a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders. In an address to the United Nations Security Council in New York, Abbas said that the only way to solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is by establishing a multilateral international mechanism emanating from an international conference and in line with international law and the relevant resolutions. The Palestinian president slammed the Trump administration, describing Washington's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital as an unlawful decision, which was rejected by the international community to remove the issue of Jerusalem off the table. He demanded that Israel halt settlement construction during any future negotiations, as well as any other unilateral moves that could have implications on a future peace deal. The Palestinian leader said that Israel is acting like a state above the law and blamed the Israeli government for past failures to achieve peace. Over to Syria, where a convoy of government forces entering the northwestern Afrin region turned back after Turkish artillery fire. Turkish state media reported that Turkish artillery had fired warning shots and forced the Syrian fighters back. Earlier, Syrian state television showed the forces entering the Afrin region to help Kurdish fighters against the Turkish offensive. The shelling marks a serious escalation in the month-old assault Turkey and allied rebels are waging on Afrin to drive Kurdish YPG militia out of it. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that the situation in Afrin could be resolved through direct dialogue between Damascus and Ankara. Meanwhile, the United Nations repeated calls for the warring parties in Syria to de-escalate violence, especially in the besieged rebel-held area of eastern Ghouta. UN Syria envoy Staffan de Mistura said the escalating battle could turn into a repeat of the battle for Aleppo. According to the British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, some 127 people were killed in air raids, rocket strikes and shelling of the area yesterday, the heaviest one-day death toll in 3 years. There were also reports that 5 hospitals had been hit in the bombing.
We completely deplore the systematic use of violence against the civilian populations and the hospitals and schools. These are extreme violations of humanitarian law, and all parties, the UN is calling on all parties to de-escalate the violence in Syria.
Back here at home, Her Majesty Queen Rania visited the non-profit initiative I Learn Joe Space for Knowledge at the Jerash Visitor Center. I Learn founder Saddam Sayali and the initiative's team members briefed Her Majesty on I Learn achievements and future plans. Her Majesty also stopped by a number of I Learn sessions taking place, including an art class, a little paramedic workshop, and a programming class. Established in 2014, I Learn employs a community-based approach to empower youth and children in various communities and is currently operational in Jerash, Zarqa, Balqa, and Amman. The initiative works on connecting youth to educators in order to identify current and potential student dropouts and allow them to jointly create remedial and prevention programs to deal with these cases. It also aims to invest in youth volunteers and devise programs that build their skills and prepare them for the job market. And the Queen of England made a surprise appearance at London Fashion Week. She watched a show from emerging designer Richard Quinn, who showcased colorful prints and headscarves which appeared to emulate the Queen's own style. After watching the show, she presented the inaugural Queen Elizabeth II Award for British Design to Quinn himself, honoring the innovative designer as the UK's brightest new fashion talent. To sports and the Pyeongchang Olympic Games, South Korea defended its women's Olympic short track 3,000-meter relay title, overtaking China with 2 laps to go in the penalty-filled final. The team crossed the finish line first after rallying from 3rd spot late in the 27-lap race. China finished second but was penalized by the referees that allowed Italy, which finished 3rd, to move up to silver. Canada was also penalized, moving the Netherlands onto the podium for bronze. And finally, for a quick look at the weather, relatively cold conditions are expected as temperatures drop, with possible scattered showers in the southern parts of the country. Amman tomorrow can expect a high of 15 degrees Celsius and a low of 7 degrees, while winds will be southeasterly to southwesterly moderate. Further south in the Gulf of Aqaba, warm conditions prevail, with daytime temperatures at 25 degrees, dropping down to 13 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tuqan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.